Welcome to the Firespitting with BS01 podcast, where we absolutely roast Bionicle. I'm Swert, and with me are...
It's Chols.
This is Casey in 02.
And Spirit.
What? Wait, that's it?
We're missing a staple of this podcast.
We're going to go ahead and get that out of the way now. The cast has always been intended to be rotated out based on the staff because, well, it's kind of boring if you have the same people every single time. And not to say the Dorg's boring, he's not. He is certainly not boring. So, today's subject, we actually finally got some answers from our, podcast because, well, we actually posted enough of the podcast where we asked that.
Yay,
and we
feedback.
actually do have we have feedback. We have a user suggestion, and it's one that we also talked about, but we want to give you the credit as well. So, YouTube user named Unknown456 suggested, does anybody have the post handy?
Oh.
We're
why
so
didn't
professional.
You prepare this?
Dead air.
You know what? It's okay.
Dead air.
It's okay. We don't... Yes. Should I pull it up, or should we just paraphrase?
Pull it up. We'll just speed along.
I got it right here. I'll read it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, glad to see this back. I was worried this was a one-off since the last one was uploaded on April Fool's Day. Personally, I hope you at some point discuss the absurdness of Destiny. Even just a little you talked about it here shows how far down the rabbit hole it goes.
Oh, absolutely. And down the rabbit hole, we will descend.
Bon voyage.
Oh. So, the concept of Destiny in Bionicle. And just to clarify here, we do not get a Dinklebot with this one.
No.
And that is our only Destiny joke we're going to be making this whole episode.
No, it's not.
No, it is not. That's the extent of my knowledge anyway, but that's okay.
Oh boy, here we go. So Destiny.
Not to be confused with My Density.
No.
Let's go ahead and explore what BS01 says about Destiny. That might help. That might help us at least understand.
You want me to read it off?
Do you have the page pulled up already?
Oh, I did. I'm doing my research as we go.
Absolutely. All right, go right ahead.
Destiny, the third and final virtue. Destiny is the true goal of every being in the Matoran universe, preordained by Matanui at the time of their creation. A being's destiny can alter over the course of one's life, given drastic enough circumstances. Destiny is the most difficult virtue to interpret and is often misconstrued to disastrous consequences. Even if an ultimate destiny is known, the path in destiny is often unexpected. Though it is possible for a destiny not to be achieved, the unpredictable nature of it often ensures that it is completed. After completing their destiny, Toa are sacrificed to their Toa power, or the greatest they become Turaga, they become small. Yep, we're good.
Yes, they become small. All right, so...
What a load of nonsense.
Absolutely.
Come on.
I just reading that, I saw the problems immediately, and I'm sure everyone did.
Oh my god. Okay, so the big problem is that the Bionicle logo doesn't mean anything. It was supposed to be the little swirls were the bees for Bionicle. Then they made this little cool design, and then they're like, what do you think this means? I know, it means Unity, Duty, Destiny. Sure. That's what it meant the whole time.
I kind of like that they started off with some kind of creed to kind of give you an idea what the lore is, but I don't think they thought about how sticking so hard to the concept of Destiny would cause things to get wacky.
Right. Well, I mean, just in general, this podcast is going to get very philosophical, but the idea, that you have, it's like in the Matrix of if it's your destiny to do anything, then you have no free will.
Nope.
Which, that's a huge discussion of, what's the point if you don't have free will, if you don't have any choices? But then do you actually have free will as a finite being with limited knowledge of everything? And then even if you did know all possible outcomes, wouldn't you just be a slave to getting the best outcome?
And that's something that was also discussed. I'm breaking the record. Because we didn't talk about it last week, but During the first episode of Rick and Morty on season 4, that's exactly what happened. Is Morty gains what's known as like this death crystal that tells him the outcomes. But the problem is, it shows you all the possible outcomes of your death, and he finally starts diverting himself to the best possible outcome of just one outcome. So it goes back to that, which is exactly what you're saying. If you know what's going to happen, when you try to just navigate to the best possible choice.
Right. And you, in not knowing what the best possible choice is, are just making random guesses, which is that
Right.
free will? Is that what people want? I don't know.
Well, and that's the other thing that a lot of people's eyes glaze over during the second Matrix movie. I know a lot of people did. Like, I remember hearing about somebody with like a DVD rip, and they're like, wow, that whole thing with the architect just jumps back and forth. Yeah, that's because people kept cutting his whole thing out. Like, they introduce who the architect is, and then you see Neo walking away. That's apparently all they got out of it. It's because nobody sat there and tried to listen to the philosophy behind the choice, like you said. Free will and choice is an important factor in creating, your guiding methods. If that makes any sense to what I just said.
I think we're moving along, yeah.
But the point is, destiny, it's almost like a destination, which is almost in the name, really.
I guess it's very antithetical to our Western values of you can kind of, you're told that you can do whatever you want as long as you work hard enough. Whereas that's definitely not the case in Bionicle, which is so
very true.
Interesting.
Nope, it's like you exist to do this. Unless it changes, then you exist to do the new thing.
Right. It's like, what was the destiny of... Let's start with the first bit of destiny we are familiar with. The 6 heroes, 1 destiny. That is the original Toa Mata. What was their mission? We thought it was to defeat Makuta. But that's not necessarily their true destiny, now is it?
Well, it was to defeat Makuta and awaken Matanui.
So they were working on that.
I mean, they worked on part of that. I mean, it's funny, is you think their entire mission was to fight Makuta and then be done with it, and then it's like, oh, by the way, now you have to deal with the Borok. What? Well, no, never mind. The Borok were not actually supposed to be your enemy. What? That's go deal with the Paraka. What? Oh, never mind. Take this mysterious object made of something we call paper and go do these other things. Wait,
so we're just like, it's destiny. I don't gotta explain it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, some giant water Toa came out of nowhere and said, do this. What am I supposed to say? No? But yeah, the whole idea is destiny is just supposed to be... it's so confusing. Can anybody else take over at that point? Because I don't want to talk about destiny.
Why are we talking about it?
It's our destiny.
We have so much rage for it, but we don't know why.
Well, so the problem is that like the characters in the series are supposed to be relatable, very human-like creatures. Obviously they're not people; they don't have the same problems people have, but they're still hunger. They've got social desires. They're
characters. Yeah,
they're characters. You can see part of yourself in them, but then to know that they don't actually have any choice in what they do, that everything is predetermined, anything they do was, set out beforehand, causes a lot of problems. And I mean, we can even go to that definition of destiny, which is a huge problem because, the line of like, everything's preordained by Matanui. Other things outside of the Matoran universe have a destiny because of energized protodermis existing. That's a whole bucket of madness. Like, if it's your destiny to transform or be destroyed, so everything is a destiny.
It's like just get in the soup and destiny will tell you if you come out of it.
And here's the other thing. This is the other part. The whole destiny. The energized protodermis, we talked about it briefly. But that whole create or destroy with the destiny thing. So does that mean every Krata's destiny is to become a Rakshi?
Well, only the ones we see. There's probably like a whole bunch that just like turn into nothing.
Oh yeah, that's probably just Makuta sitting there going, all right, I know you're the one. Okay.
You're the Krata of what? Electricity?
All right.
Huh?
Now
Okay.
you're the one.
Just dump them all in there and 6 come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Come to find out that Turaga literally captured every single one that was destined to become a Rakshi.
Yep.
Like, he just keeps setting them out in the open, and then they keep capturing them, and it's like, well, I'm gonna have to make another one.
Yeah, those Turaga sure caught them all.
I think
Well,
that's
that's
all.
And I think that's the confusing thing of like Bionicle is supposed to be science fiction with like a little bit of magic in it, but you expect it to like have a logical cause and effect. Like even if you have a magic potion in most stories, the magic potion does the same thing every time you drink it. It's not like, well, sometimes it's going to do this instead. That makes for, well, I mean, it's a great plot device of what transformed them. I don't know. The energized protodermis? Yeah, that's what did it.
But that's basically it. It was relegated to nothing but a plot device, but it was proposed in such a way where it would have to be like a fundamental aspect of how the universe works. It would need to be a mechanic, not a device, but it wasn't.
But that's the other thing. Then you turn around. This is where I'm going to go with this. So not only do the Krata transform into Rakshi, but then when they introduced the antidermis as a concept in 2006, and then they countered it with energized protodermis by saying, oh, well, the energized protodermis kills the endodermis because it's not destined to transform. What? So what are
Okay.
Krata?
Well, no. Devil's advocate here. All of that antidermis had previously been transformed by energized protodermis. When Takanuva and Makuta fall into the pit of energized protodermis and turn into Takuta Nuva, that all of that is Makuta. He got transformed. And so when he exists antidermis on Voyanui, technically that is transformed antidermis, which is so complicated.
Okay, yeah, it's
Okay.
complicated, but now here's what I'm thinking. Like, other Makuta have antidermis, right?
Right.
Oh, they all are. Yes.
They are, yes. So does that mean if the other Makuta's antidermis, if they're exposed to energized protodermis, would they also be destroyed, or will it be transformed? So you're kind of telling me that in the case of Makuta Pterodax, his antidermis will be destroyed by energized protodermis because of what happened, but we don't know if this the same thing applies to the other Makuta.
That's true.
I think we could have just solved a whole bunch of problems by carrying energized protodermis around and splashing it on bad guys and be like, oh, it wasn't their destiny to transform. I guess they're gone now. You can let a Fematoran control it. It's good.
Yes, just taking Makuta, dumping him into a vat of energized protodermis, going, okay, now we will decide and learn. Are you ready to transform?
But like, here's the other thing of like, if it's Matanui who decides that, is he like is it just like a computer program where you've got like, just like a bunch of things like tick yes for transforms by energized protodermis?
Well, as you recall, no, the energized protodermis has an entity within it because it is a sentient thing. But the question is that what's creating the transformation destiny? That's the question. Even he really doesn't know, if you recall from the book. He just hit that bug thing and it died.
Yeah, well, I think the big problem is that the destiny explanation, I feel like that was added because there's a big question that rises up of, okay, if any Toa can transform into a Toa Nuva, why don't they all just do that? And the answer has to be, well, only sometimes they do.
I feel like
I think there's a lot of Dark Hunters, a couple of Dark Hunters that got exposed to energized. Is it? I'm trying to remember if there was any Dark Hunters that, maybe they were a Matoran or Toa, they got exposed to something, maybe it was energized protodermis, and then it turned out very badly.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of
like a transformations page.
Yeah. I may be confusing it with Hordeca Venom, but I'll probably need to double check to see.
That's the secondary cop out. Either it's energized protodermis or it's Hordeca Venom.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah. That's the other thing is Hordeca Venom. Is that also something that messes with destiny, or are you destined to be Hordeca Venomed?
See, there's a question.
I feel like
You
in
see
some
where my
ways,
logic is going with that, right?
yes. I guess in some ways having like the concept of destiny being controlled by Matanui and at least internal to the world of to like inside of his universe, which is basically his body. I think that makes a little sense for destiny to be by his will, because then you could say, well, that was, what he was planning and stuff like that. And later we see he's not like a perfect person. So you could see it being a little fast and loose, but it still doesn't help much.
No.
Yeah. But
Anyway, so I
sure,
do
go
want to
ahead.
keep us running forward for a second. So the question to be asked is destiny even a real concept in the real world? Or not in the real world, sorry, in Bionicle's world?
Oh, we were about
Like,
to hit some
does it
really
even-
top topics.
Because here's the thing we have to really consider is, let's start with the other bit of destiny, which was Vakama's Toa team. And specifically, the destiny that it was actually supposed to be Nuri and company destined based on the stars.
No, that's fake news.
Exactly.
Just the stars.
Because it was, of course, Matanui that set up the stars to trick Makuta to making Lacan select the other team.
So it was
What?
the destiny for him to be deceived, not to actually do it.
Do you see the convoluted mess that whole system is? Why couldn't it have just been in the stars in the first place?
Can't do it. Stars.
Look, there wasn't enough happening in the 2005 storyline. We needed extra plot.
Okay. Yes, the extra plotline that only occurred within the pages of the books. Didn't even happen in the comics. Didn't even see a small little disc that had Nuri's name on it in the comics.
Oh, what a mess.
Was such a mess.
Huge mess.
And then 2006. So obviously, as we know, the next team that rises up and takes on a new task of what we call Destiny is Joller and company. Or should we just say Motoro and company? Who would you call the leader at that point? Is it Joller?
I call it Jawa.
Okay. Point is, they rise up. I mean, obviously, they snuck off without everybody knowing about it, even though that was also, quote-unquote, predetermined, if you recall. Because that was, of course, Vakama being told, you're going to have to let six future heroes go or whatever. You can't stop them. Except, no, it was actually less Vakama letting them go and more Nokama just saying, fine, go.
That scene with Krakua gets
get
zero payoff.
Yeah, it gets zero payoff for Vakama.
And even when the perfect opportunity to set up that whole, here's why Krakua went back in time, appears in the serials, Greg's like, nah, we're not going to do that. Say that for later.
I feel like
use this juicy storyline for something else.
This problem just kind of compounds on itself, because when one group of characters is destined to do something, but now we need another group of characters because we got to sell some new sets. Let's go. You need to say, now it's these guys destined to do this, and it just kind of keeps overlapping all these different things that are supposed to be destined, and it becomes a mess.
It's all a mess. But yeah, then we also get the next problem, which was, so Joller and company go to Voyanui, and then they kind of scout out and find the Paraka, and the Paraka have basically taken over the entire island. Brutaka took out the Toa Nuva, which, I always interpreted it as the Paraka just being too strong for the Toa Nuva. No, on hindsight, it was absolutely Brutaka that tipped that balance. But the point is, once they were rescued, then they said, okay, we're going to take care of the Paraka now. You go ahead. You go away. And it's like, why?
Go away, because destiny.
Exactly. It's like, okay, we're going to take care of the Paraka. We're going to go get the mask. You go ahead and go do whatever you do. It's like, why don't you guys just team up, take out the Paraka real fast, and then you would have literally no competition.
No, destiny.
Also, the sets hadn't been for sale for 3 years.
Okay, that's...
Destiny.
Like, at that point, why would you even have the Toa Nuva in the story? Why don't you just have it be like, you must go find the Mask of Life. And it was said in the stars that you must be the ones to get it.
Yeah. like I think one explanation I've heard that was like a good, I don't know, like a good cop out explanation for this whole destiny thing is that destiny is different to fate. Like fate is what you're like predetermined, what's going to happen. You can't do anything about it. Whereas destiny is what you're supposed to do. Until Greg comes along and is like, nah, they're the same.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, not splitting hairs there.
Also, you know what I find also hilarious? So it is the Toa Inika / Mari's destiny to reawaken or to revive the Great Spirit's life. And now their task is done. So what is their next destiny in life? To basically be mindless drones working for the Goldskin being.
It's all destiny, you know?
Gosh dang, I don't even remember the Goldskin being. What the heck was going on?
Oh, we'll get to him.
Oh no.
He is not getting off without this.
I feel like a lot of this could just be better. It could even be as convoluted and as like supposed to be as rigid as it is. If there was at least a character or two that would like kind of challenge it, like everyone's kind of like, okay, Destiny, let's go. Like if there was some discussion of like, how does this make sense? Why do we do this? Can't we do our own thing? Just all the questions we're asking, like in the story, I feel like that could just add enough flavor to it because now you're actually making it a concept to discuss, not just something that drives people to do things.
Right, because they make it sound like destiny is optional at some points, where it's like, oh well, he didn't choose to follow his destiny, or don't forget you got to follow your destiny. But if destiny is predetermined, if you have to do it anyway, well, I mean, there's a lot. Another problem is that there's too many cooks in the kitchen. What Greg says destiny is very different to what the movie maker said destiny was, to what any other mention of destiny is written by different people. So it just compounds the issue.
They should have had a source of information they could all look to and search for the information of Bionicle.
Yes, you mean such as, I don't know, the BS01 wiki.
The wiki.
Yeah, I'll plug us anytime I want. It's hilarious.
Shameless shill here.
You know, it would only be shameless if I was doing it on somebody else's podcast.
Good point.
Oh, I do that too. TTV and
No, I did it too. I plugged BS1 all the time on the other podcast that I was on.
Yeah. In some ways, I kind of like the, I mean, there's the concept of like destiny is kind of like ultimately like a goal, but how you get there is not quite as defined. Had anyone ever, when growing up, reading the book A Wrinkle in Time?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact wording in there, but there's a very similar concept of like destiny, and they're comparing it to like a sonnet, which is a type of poem where, you know, there's very specific rules you have to follow to make it a sonnet, but exactly how you do that, the words you use, the concepts you introduce, are all up to you. So I kind of like that explanation a lot for that sort of thing. I think it helps. In practicality, it's a little iffy, but I like it for this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it makes sense because they are, I mean, we ultimately learn that they are robots living inside of a larger robot. The larger robot would make them for certain purposes. Like in your body, your cells have a destiny, quote unquote. Like when a cell is being made, it's a red blood cell, or it's a skin cell, or a bone cell. That's hard coded into the cell itself. That is your cell's destiny, unless it's a stem cell, which is, I don't know what that would be analogous to in Bionicle, but maybe that's like ties into your point of having
this
things.
if you think about cells that don't do what they're supposed to do.
Well,
I mean, I guess technically the stem cell analogy for Bionicle would be kind of like how their organic protodermis kind of reformed after they formed back up as Toa.
I guess.
Do
I
you
don't
remember
know.
that?
It's not a perfect analogy, but
no, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many things wrong with the protodermis.
We already covered protodermis.
Thank you.
okay. So here's another question, though. If that is sort of what destiny is, it's to tell these little robots what they're supposed to do, ignoring other instances of destiny outside of the Matoran universe, or the creatures that existed pre-Matanui who couldn't have gotten a destiny because they were created before him. If we just look within the realm of Matanui, if your destiny is what you're supposed to do, what is the difference between destiny and duty?
So duty is supposed to be your active role, what you are actively trying to do right now. Or
But
in the
shouldn't your
case of, like,
duty
say,
be to achieve your destiny.
well, again, so let's look at the definition of duty as it says on the page. The second virtue, duty is the job which a Matoran has been entrusted to do. Failure to perform their allotted task can be detrimental to the health of the Great Spirit, so Matorans seek to do their job to the best of their abilities in order to keep their universe functioning. So it's not really so much a job that is destined for a Toa to do, for them to do. It is something that the Matoran have to do. Again, it's their ongoing task.
So yeah, just like what cells do in a human body, just keeping the body alive so it can
Right.
function. Yeah.
That's your duty.
Actually, probably a better analogy would be something like keeping the processor running on your computer because it's actively working. Especially if you're trying to do like a big render or whatever.
Oh, that's coming later when this is done recording.
You have no idea.
Oh no. I guess the definition between duty and destiny is ultimately like your purpose in life, and duty is the ways in which you are going to achieve that. But there is some odd intersections and stuff that are kind of weird.
Yeah, like it shouldn't have been duty. Like I get destiny. You've already made the tagline 6 heroes, 1 destiny. Destiny sounds all magical and fancy. Unity is important. We want to teach kids to work together, to play together.
And buy all the toys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah,
your duty.
you must buy all the toys to keep them unified together on your shelf when you get older.
You joke about that, but you know I wanted to collect all 6 because I wanted to have them all together.
Oh, I actually have all of the parts in a bag ready to go just because. So they are, in fact, very unified.
In a big mess.
Yes, it'll be very fun sorting it.
Oh, I don't want to think about that.
I don't either.
I have a big
That's
mess.
why they stay in the bag in a closet, so I don't have to think about them for a minute. Anyway. But yeah, duty is just a weird one. Like that thing could have easily been, let's see, so Unity is a huge one. Destiny is the huge one. What would duty have been instead?
Creativity? Maybe?
Unity. UCD.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't. Unity duty destiny
Unity!
sounds so great that you can kind of just...
Unity!
Yes. Duty!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I like it as like a mantra, but then when you go into it, it's like, how does this work? Is like, you almost want to think of it as like 3 concepts that all play off each other. But do they?
Oh, they really do, but don't. I mean, obviously
they do for the Toa.
The principles were a really weird thing to begin with as well. If you remember that from Matching Online Game 2.
Oh, there's so much extra in that. It's wild.
Templar Studios just went completely nuts.
Yeah, because you have the principle of courage, the principle of purity, the principle of faith, the principle of creation, the principle of prosperity, and the principle of peace.
Actually, no. I know that there's a whole lot of like extra stuff that compounds into that, but I actually really liked that they did that because if you manage to actually play the game in a working state or manage to skip sequence break yourself past a mutant Okama to be able to play some of the game, you'd be able to talk to various Matoran and kind of understand the concepts of all these principles and the 3 virtues and stuff like that. And they kind of have their own explanations. And I kind of like that because that kind of fits what I was talking about before. Like, why not have a discussion about these principles if they're kind of the core beliefs of these people? And they kind of did that to an extent, even though there's a lot of added stuff to it that complicates things. But it was nice to hear explanations of like ideas. I
don't know if you've actually sat down to look at it though. So principles also grant different funny. The principles of like these principles give different skills as per the Coley game. So like courage gives you strength. That kind of makes sense. You know, inner strength makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Though wouldn't that have been better with, say, willpower, since courage and willpower are the same thing to a degree?
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Although I do like the idea of having beliefs in a world being turning into stats in a game. That's cool. I just want to see that more often.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it comes from they're trying to reconcile sort of the culture that they started to lay the groundwork for with the characters of the Toa. Because Tahu is known as the brave one. So you got to make that like, oh, well, fire is related to that. Even though we want to make like the Komator and sort of these stoic monks who have lots of willpower. Like I can see why it went in that direction.
I can kind of see it. I mean, their principle was peace, and that grants willpower for some reason. I mean,
They got the min max.
the one that makes the least amount of sense, the principle of faith from Lee Koro, grants the skill of accuracy.
No, that makes sense. You got to believe that you can hit the target, and you will.
To take a leap of faith, your faith's better, your accuracy's better. See?
Pokoro had the principle of creation, and that grants strategy, and I'm okay with that. But apparently, strategy's enemy was disintegration. Figure that one out.
It will be an enemy to creation.
No, not disintegration. Fragmentation.
Nope.
No, let's not have that discussion again. We already talked about powers.
You know what the funny part is? So they've got the principles written down here on our website on BS01. So you have principle of courage, derived from duty, grants the skill of strength. Enemy was fear. Fear is the Turok. That makes sense. Go down to the principle of peace with Kokoro, grants the skill willpower. Enemy was anger. That makes a lot of sense. That was the Kurok. And then you get to Onokoro, and that was hunger. That makes sense. Then you get to Gakoro. The enemy of speed is poison.
Well, they switch Gurok and Layrock for some reason.
Yeah. And then
well, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Disintegration. Was disintegration supposed to be... No, that's the other thing. They switched all three of those up. Poison was supposed to be the Lerok, fragmentation is the Panrak, and disintegration was the Gurok. So somehow the enemy of Pokoro is the blue one. The enemy of the green one of Likoro was the brown one, and somehow Gakoro's enemy was the green one.
Oh, they did. Why did they do that?
I know.
They literally. I mean,
someone got the note cards jumbled up.
Of Panrak and Gurok are the exact same power. That's not. There's no difference there. Oh, one of them explodes, one of them disintegrates. That's the same power.
One of them makes things smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference, there is actually a fine difference. It's not much, but it's a main difference between throwing the statue on the ground or throwing it into a literal crusher and grinding it down to paste. That is the fine difference. It's not much. You're still getting rid of a statue, but still.
But was it the statue's destiny to be disintegrated and fragmented?
Also, you know what I find hilarious is the principle of peace is derived from destiny. Does that mean you need to be at peace to enjoy your destiny? Is that why Motoro is destined to die?
I guess.
That's dark.
It's dark, but you know what? I just had to say it.
I like
we're all destined to die someday.
Well,
yeah,
yes.
well.
Honestly, I would argue, like, if you were to expand that idea to be like, if you're not at peace, you won't be able to achieve your destiny because your mind is elsewhere. I kind of like that idea,
perhaps,
but it's not said anywhere. But hey, it sounds all right to me.
It does sound right. Also, I have to apologize. I said Motoro died. No, I'm sorry. Motoro is actually busy streaming.
Oh no, that's the other guy. Spoiler warning: Motoro dies.
The concept of destiny and peace. I remember there was the the Kingdom alternate dimension where Pterodax fails in his plan. He's going crazy. He's totally just gone crazy because his.
What's interesting though is the Toa did fulfill their destiny, which is kind of why I guess the Order Matanui never stepped in, if that makes sense.
But we don't have to hurry this destiny along.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things too of if it's going to turn out all right anyway, why would you do anything?
That's true.
Just sit at home.
That's you say that. That's a concept that I hear even from people in real life because I know a few people who Not to go too in depth into other subjects, but have the belief that free will does not exist, and it's an annoying discussion, whatever. But I've had people make those claims too, and I think most people generally agree. Yeah, but acting in that way doesn't mean things are just going to happen. You're going to do the right. You're going to do something, and whether it's predetermined or not, it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, this is why Destiny was a mistake. Just don't make it one of the three virtues, or
That's the title.
Right.
don't even make that the tagline. 6 heroes, 1 destiny. No, stop it, because it's going to
6 heroes,
lead
1 duty.
to angry people yelling about it 20 years down the line.
Yes,
It would have
I'm
been better
angry.
to say, you know what? It should have been 6 heroes, 1 goal.
That sounds so lame, though.
Yeah.
The concept 6 heroes, 1 destiny is a cool thing to put on something. You see it on front of a comic, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. And then I go inside, and it's a bunch of cool pictures of Bionicles fighting, and I'm like, yeah.
Okay, what if it was 6 heroes, 1 purpose?
Too wordy.
It's
Literally the same
words.
number of words.
It just doesn't have the
Swert,
same
don't
link
ever
as
grade
Destiny.
anything assignments.
6 heroes, 1 task.
Ugh.
I don't mind the concept of destiny. Casey, and I'm so sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's fine.
I don't mind the concept of destiny, but I wish that it would just be this explored more than just an explanation for why things happen. That's what I was
Or even better implemented, like, because it is not everyone. Well, I mean, apparently everyone achieves their destiny, but as an amateur reader, you would see the story and see that, well, not everyone achieves their destiny. Like Makuta wasn't supposed to be evil. Like, that would make him a more compelling character. The fact that he actually is supposed to be evil really undermines anything he ever does, and kind of removes all responsibility from everything that he ends up doing, because it was just his destiny to take over the world. It's fine.
Right.
help it. It's destiny.
You know
bro.
what? I have a new one for you. 6 heroes, 1 duel of fates.
Oh,
man.
yes.
That sounds a little more epic.
But it's not a reference that's relevant in 2001.
No, it was a reference back into 1999,
Oh,
which
man.
is perfect because that's what saved the company.
Yes. Thank you, Star Wars. Hey, it was destined for Star Wars, Lego Star Wars to happen so that we could have Lego Bionicle. Exactly.
Ah,
Well,
So they just tipping their hat towards what saved the company and allowed them to take over. You know, it goes back to, we'll take it from here. Thanks, Matoro.
What's the Bionicle equivalent of midichlorians?
energized
Protodermis.
protodermis.
Like, I knew that answer immediately. What if Destiny is just protodermis? That's
Well, I
just
mean,
the answer.
That's what
You
people.
just need to have a specific level of protodermis in your body. And then the problem is they all have the exact same level.
But don't people? Isn't the new theory for Star Wars that everything works out the way it does because of the Force? So, like, any plot hole, you can be like, "Oh, it was the Force that willed it to be that way." And when Darth Vader says, "Don't underestimate the power of the Force," it's all like, hey, even though you built this great Death Star, the Force is going to will it to be blown up.
Well, I mean, you have to maintain balance. It's kind of why they had so much Dark Force in the first place, like Darth Force users,
Right, but if the Force balances itself out, I guess this isn't really the place to talk about.
No,
Let's go to Wikipedia
no.
real quick.
We're not going to Wikipedia. Anyway, can you tell?
Did I imagine this? So, didn't Greg once say that Makuta has always felt this urge to take over the world because his actual destiny was to inhabit the second giant robot body?
Yeah, I think it was said somewhere that was a plan.
Or
Like,
he
not
would take
Derek.
over the universe while Matsunui goes to the second body, something like that. Like, that was supposed to happen.
I think what ultimately was supposed to happen, I know they were planning on building another, what we would consider third body, because the prototype counts as the first, in order to make sort of like the best possible outcome of chances, but the planet started shattering before they could start the second one.
What do you mean
Third one.
chances? I thought this was destiny.
Yeah.
There's no destiny on on Spherus Magna. Okay.
Is that actually a thing? Like the concept of destiny we're arguing about here, it only exists within the Matoran universe, or did that change with Bar Magna?
That's why I'm saying it can't. It has to exist because energized protodermis works on the inhabitants of Spherus Magna.
I mean, did it? I guess.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
how they
at
got
the
their
very beginning,
powers?
the comic showed like some random creature got too close and then made contact and then just got transformed.
Well, okay, that makes a little sense, but even then, I mean, what's to say that whole planet's not made of protodermis either?
Okay. I've got to just hack together an explanation here real quick. Okay, it just makes me feel better. So if we're talking about energized protodermis outside of like the body of Montanui, he's not in control of it. Therefore, it's not bent to his will or destiny. Outside, anything could happen, and that thing transformed entirely randomly.
Okay, but like, I mean, going back to the protodermis thing of the great beings used it as a tool in the Matoran universe to make things happen. Like, it's part of the camouflage system for his face. So that means that they knew it would.
The blood pack.
It would, yeah, they knew it would turn into an island if it was extruded from his face. So it must have some predictability to it, but it also doesn't. Like I mean, when you make it the explanation for everything, it's going to cause a lot of problems.
I love how their concept of him, the giant robot that's supposed to travel the world, its only means of cloaking itself is to get in a body of water large enough to hide everything but its face.
Side note, I want to sidebar that for a second. Now I kind of wish Lego had teamed up with like Play-Doh to make a Matanui Play-Doh face thing, so that it literally extrude the Play-Doh from his face to create the island in a mold.
Oh my
That
gosh,
would've been so funny.
I'm stuck in really bad quarantine mode because I looked up a compilation of like 90s commercials, and I'm just trying to picture like the awful sing-songy commercial about the clay model Matanui face. Oh dear.
Buy this product. It's your destiny.
I'm doing fine, by the way.
Okay.
Why didn't they use that?
You know what? I'm almost tempted to make that the title of this episode.
Do it.
You know what really gets me all this time? Matanui. The word mata means face. In this, the answer was like the whole plot, the whole idea of Matanui being a being. It was right there in our face, and we just I guess nobody bothered to just go translate what it meant.
It was him all along, the great face.
I mean, no, everybody translated. They knew what it was. It's just they didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, I think it's easy in hindsight to see that there is this commonality between the place names and the island, that they're all features of the face.
Right.
But
Had they gone to the Three-Finger Island, it would have been a heck of a lot more sense.
I wish they kept that. I love that idea.
Yeah. Maybe it was remember the whole controversy using the Maori terms. Maybe because that when that happened, people like decide, okay, we're not going to use these names again, and then
quick, let's go into Marinui instead.
Yeah,
or Metronui first, then Marinui, then Poinui, and all that.
Yeah, just make up some words, new island names, just so we won't get into that mess again, and we have to use naming day again.
Just end everything in Axe or Ak, and we're good.
Well, that's why I think they changed Lee to Lee Khan. They just try to honor the memory of Lee Khan by changing the name slightly.
Well, and I think the hard part is that it's like, from what I've been able to see, like a lot of these terms are not obvious what they're translated into. Like in Maori, the same word can mean lots of different things just because of how the Europeans decided to translate their language into our letters, which really complicates things. Like if I look up Lee in Maori on Google Translate, I predict that we will get, drumroll please, nothing. It translates to nothing. Lee translates to Lee.
Nothing.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how any of that really went, other than the big controversy. It was cleared up in an appropriate way, not to
Well,
misuse titles of religious icons and stuff like that.
part of what it was is they used the names like Liwa, Onua, and all that. They just took the first two, or in Onua's case, three letters, and they turned around and slipped those in, and that just doesn't translate to anything. It sounds cool.
Yeah, which is fine.
Question I have to ask is what was the justification of calling their village a Koro? Like, is this a word that they already had, or do they have to make up that word? And then the Turaga just looked at it going, okay, look, we're going to say that this is a Koro. And we're just going to tell them that it means village. And then when they look at us blankly and say, why don't we just call it Lee Village? We'll just say because Koro sounds better. I mean,
no,
because that's what it means.
No, they were going around there and they were going to name it like Poe Metro 2 or whatever, but he coughed and was like, Pokoro! And they're like, oh, sorry, Destiny. It's named Pokoro now because of Destiny.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the answer.
Good time back to Destiny. I kind of thought we were...
I can tie anything back to Destiny, man.
You could tie this whole episode into Destiny if you think
this
about it.
This whole thing is fate. Free will is a myth.
We were all destined to talk about Destiny today.
Okay, speaking of
now
fate...
we have nothing else to do after that.
Speaking of fate, which is mildly related to Destiny, you would think, what's the deal with the Mask of Fate? Because that's not what that does.
Wait, a Mask of Fate?
Yeah.
Man, bring this back.
It makes you athletic, because...
Was this the one that was from like the Boy game? Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
What was the point of that?
This is the Calyx, yeah.
The Mask of Fate, it allows the user to perform an absolute peak of their natural physical abilities. This has nothing to do with fate, such as executing seemingly impossible leaps so that they move and react better to almost... Well, what does that have to do with fate?
Has nothing to do with a fate. You know what we should have called it? Should have been called the Mask of Dick Grayson.
I was going to say Daredevil, but okay.
No. Nightwing will absolutely tear the floor up with Daredevil.
Okay.
Or just the Mask of Agility. Like, don't make up terms for things that we already got words for that.
Yeah, this is just exponentially more confusing.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't even understand. Like, that's like the most frustrating mask. Well, second to the Mask of Possibilities, which is just the worst. Ugh, we could do
I could pretend I had a Mask of Possibilities and just make stuff up all day.
Yeah.
Honestly, the mask could have been completely different. It should have been different. I like the power. It's just come up with a better definition of what you call it. Like Mask of Agility. That would have been the way to go.
Or make it the Mask of Dodging, and then have Jala and Huki fight each other. Mask of Accuracy versus Mask of Dodging. And all of reality disintegrates.
It was their destiny to strike blows, but they're both too fast and they can't touch each other.
They can, but they can't.
Reality unravels as destiny was not fulfilled.
The classic unstoppable force meets immovable object.
Yep, except neither of them collide.
The unstoppable bullet versus the unhittable target.
Okay, so for evil characters, like the Dark Hunters, like Nadiki, for instance, was it his destiny to become evil?
You know, I'm going to say this. This will be a bit controversial because think about all of these characters. I'm going to say that actually the Dark Hunters are going against their destiny. I think that is the evidence that destiny is not set in stone, that you have to actively be working towards it. And that's kind of why they are outcast the way they are.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's a number of Dark Hunters that were former Toa.
I like the idea, too, of there being a group. If you're in a world where effectively the belief system of everything is so set on destiny, there being a group of people who reject that. And I don't know if that was ever said outright, but I do like the idea of Dark Hunters kind of looking at destiny being like, no, we choose a different path. And, I mean, see how that works for them.
Because here's my other logic to that. Think about it. Otherwise, there's a lot of people with a destiny of having their stuff robbed.
Yeah.
I'm stealing your stuff because of destiny. You can't stop me.
Exactly.
I was born for this.
And there's only one person on the entire island doing their destiny, and that is Ancient. And his destiny is to basically be a spy.
Well, and here's the big problem of if everything is destined to happen and Matanui chooses the destiny of things, like why does he make people destined to be bad? Oh, this is like the whole philosophy of why does evil happen in the world? Like why does he destine people in the Matoran universe to be evil so that Toa have stuff to do? Like
Yeah, it's like
Well,
there's like to be shadows, so the heroes, heroes need villains to do their work, I guess.
right, but
guess.
if you don't have any villains, you don't need any heroes.
Well, and here's the other one that I want to point out is, are we saying that it was the entire Skakti's race's destiny to become the way they are? Or is it because one Makuta strayed away from his destiny and just went, I'm bored, let's make this?
It was their destiny to give that guy another destiny because he betrayed his original destiny, and that's why everything was destined to happen the way it did.
Well, do you see where I'm going with that?
Oh, I see where you're going with it. I'm just making it into a silly thing to try and wrap destiny around it.
I know.
It's so bad.
So like the original purpose of Machinui, all his inhabitants, like they're just basically like like cells in a human body. They just keep the body alive. It's just that something happened, Valika. It just made them gain free will, and then just it was a terrible idea, and it caused the plot as we know it, with everything screwing up badly.
Right.
Well, hang on. There's a thing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So spoiler warning, Valika Matoran is actually was a great being the whole time. Would he not be subject to the destiny of Montanui despite having been inside the universe that was created by him?
I don't know, because his brain is not created by Matanui, but his body would be.
Yeah, and I mean, he played along. That was the idea, but I kind of like the idea of there being within the universe a force that is not bound by that, and therefore some things go awry because they're like, oh, hey, what happens if we just, let things slide a bit?
Actually, there is another being. There's another being that defies destiny. Tren Krom.
Oh, I couldn't, man.
Because think about it. I actually went back and reread some of Reign of Shadows just because I was bored while I was editing the second episode, and I had to pull some footage from that anyway. So the question was, not footage, but you know what I mean, images. The question was, Tren Krom, why was he stuck to that island in the first place? And the reasoning was given that apparently they didn't want Matanui to feel like he was going to get usurped at any given moment by Tren Krom, because Tren Krom obviously was in charge for a long while before Matanui was placed in there instead.
Or maybe it was his destiny to be stuck to the island.
But the thing is, obviously it was the great beings that stuck him there, which does not mean even though they said Matanui is in charge of destiny. That's
yeah, I think the problem is that it's like Greg's explanation for everything is destiny. Why is it destiny? What destiny? So when the Toa Metru turn into Turaga, I don't know where it's revealed that this is because they accomplished their destiny or whatever, because literally no one else ever turns into Turaga that we know of, despite obviously completing their destiny.
There has only been 8 Turaga in the entire series that we are aware of. 9. Jovan also became a Turaga.
Right, but we know none of the Toa characters we see who definitely complete their destiny. They did it. Don't tell me that they didn't, because they did.
True.
They never turn into Turaga. So it should have just been a different explanation.
I think they retconned it to say that they have the option to give up their power.
But why would you do that? That doesn't.
I feel like we've seen cases of Turaga choosing that when it was their time because they had the ability to do something for the greater good. with that. Like the Turaga of Madanui, they gave up their powers to help restore the Metronui Matoran that were in stasis. Like there was a purpose behind that because they made a decision. But then we go into the whole destiny and making decisions kind of thing. So
But like for Lecon, for instance, well, I guess that's our baseline because he's
He is absolutely our baseline.
the first Toa that we see turn into a Turaga. So that informs us that each Toa has about enough Toa juice in it to create 6 more Toa, as far as we can tell.
But that at that point, then they no longer have that juice because they just use it and it doesn't replenish that we are aware of.
Right.
And they have 6 Toa stones at the end in the book, and it's like, oh, well, let's just make another Toa stone. They're like, wait, isn't that going to make us lose our power? Not if we all do one at a time and just ourselves, and we would have 5, 6 left. Oh.
Yeah, this becomes such a problem the more you think about it. Oh, did we lose Casey again?
Yep.
We lost Casey. Hopefully
9.
we can get him back.
I think we just move on and see if we can get him back.
Yep. Well, hopefully, Craig will still have his track, but hopefully it'll put him right back in as soon as he joins us.
Yeah, or it's just an extra track. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Welcome
Something
back,
happened. I don't know what happened, but I'm back.
Hey, good to have you back.
Okay, and apparently you were muted, but it can still hear you for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe my connection just temporarily went bad. But
that's fine.
Okay.
All right, we're back in, and that is the destiny of Discord. Apparently,
You were destined to lose your connection for like a minute.
Okay, so here's the question. How many times has the answer been Destiny from Greg when he's just like, friggin', I don't know, I never thought of this. Destiny, that's what happens.
See, I feel like in his defense, if you have a frequent outreach to a community of fans, and it's great that he did. That's a great thing to do. That gets really tiring when people want to ask you questions all the time for everything. So if answers start to become, oh, that was Destiny, and even questions about Destiny become confusing and bemuddled, that's going to happen if people want to explain every little thing that happens. Basically, all I'm saying is this is our fault.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Well, that was the alarm that we need to wrap up.
It was our destiny to wreck Destiny.
And to defy the timer.
Ultimately, I think it all came down to the question of what is Destiny versus what is Fate in Bionicle.
Well, apparently they're the same, except when they're not.
Exactly. And on that, we need to definitely wrap up. So,
yeah.
I don't think there is going to be a definitive answer as to what is Destiny in Bionicle until we get there.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like a carrot on a stick until it happens.
You know, I'm just going to put this out there. I think Destiny is just a lie. Period. Stop.
Ooh,
Destiny was a mistake.
Hot take.
Because think about it. They drill it into their minds. Your destiny is to do what you're doing. And, oh, wait, never mind. Your destiny has now changed because of the greater good. And, oh, no, wait, your destiny is actually to do this. And it's just like, why don't you just tell us we're making it up as we go?
We'd ask Mata do it, but he's asleep right now.
It is my destiny to let you think that. Okay.
Mind blown.
What if it's your destiny to think that?
What if?
And that is where we will definitely end it. So, thanks again for listening. Feel free to follow us on social media. Feel free to leave us comments. And again, thank you to user unknown456 for that suggestion to us. I mean, it was a fun topic. We've been meaning to talk about it.
Yes, just topics, ask questions, do whatever you want. Engagement is good.
Absolutely. Feel free to like. I mean, you don't necessarily have to hit a bell because we don't really post all that often.
Ring that bell.
It's your destiny to ring that bell.
Yes. Like, comment, and subscribe, please.
Yes, by all means. Feel free to get some more comments out there. Let us know if you have a topic suggestion. I mean, that we have a lot of pent-up rage. We have nothing else better to do right now.
I don't know,
especially during this lockdown.
Yes, we are still under lockdown, as you can tell. All right, so again, that was our recording. So I was Spirit. No, I'm not.
No, you aren't. That's
Oh
not your
my
destiny.
gosh.
I'm keeping that in. I'm Swert.
I'm Chols.
I'm Casey in 02.
And I'm Swert.
Gosh dang it.
All right. Have fun, everybody.
Oh, goodbye.